All right, so today I'm going to talk to you about DocuSign Basics. There's sometimes some confusion with zip forms and DocuSign. They are two independent programs of each other with an awesome integration. So I've been doing a lot of zip forms where I show you how to use the e-sign feature if you have a DocuSign account. But DocuSign is able to be used independently of zip forms and just have that e-signature portion. So I wanted to go over that today with you guys. If you don't have a DocuSign account, it is an agent elected, agent paid account. If you went out on your own, it's like $240 for the year, but through the company, you can get the program for less than $10 a month. It's like $9.70 or something like that. So we have a really great discount for you. Zip Forms is a provided to you by the company program, and so there's no charge to that one. So the difference between the two is Zip Forms I would call your form production program, and DocuSign is your e-signature program. So we're going to go over the e-signatures today. To get started, first I wanted to show you if you have your DocuSign account registered with your @npdodge email, like for instance, if Nikki's was nkershaw@npdodge.com is what she used to log into her DocuSign account, then on your NPD Office dashboard, you can click on this DocuSign tile and it will automatically log you in. It has what we call SSO, which is single sign-on, and there will be no need to record your login credentials. You won't need to know your password or your username. It is connected to your NPD Office if your DocuSign account was set up with your NPDodge email. Some agents forward their email, so maybe you have an NPDodge email address and it goes straight to like a Gmail account. Those emails, the DocuSign account needs to be registered with the end inbox. So if I have my NPDodge going to my Gmail account, when my DocuSign account is set up, it has to be set up to Gmail, and then this tile will not work. Okay, so that's one way to get there. The other way to get there is just going to DocuSign.com or .net and logging in. And then when you log in, this is what it looks like. Can everybody see my DocuSign e-signature home screen? Thumbs up are good. I see nods. Okay. Debbie, you don't see me? You're muted, so if you have a question, make sure you unmute yourself. Not hearing anything. Okay, if you can't see my screen or you're having questions, reach out to Nikki if you don't want to unmute and talk about it here. Oh, you're good. Great. Okay, so before I get started on how to use the program, I want to talk through a little bit what you're looking at on this screen. At the top, you can see I have a few tabs. Please ignore this admin one. You guys will not have that. But the most important one that we land on when we first log in is this home screen. And the main piece that you're going to use here is this sign or get signatures and this big yellow new button. You guys see that? I'm going to come back to that. We're going to talk about what's just below that first, and then I'm going to show you how to use the program. So below that, you'll see you've got overview on the left. So this is going to tell you if you've sent documents out for signatures in the last 6 months. You'll see my filters the last 6 months. When I'm waiting for others to sign, if I have something expired or completed, and then action required. Action required means something I need to do. Maybe I needed to sign that top one. So these are clickable. If I click on these, it'll take me to those different sections. And then next to that, it says DocuSign Rooms for Real Estate. Everybody just pretend like there's a big red X over that. Ignore it. DocuSign Rooms is what the company uses as a file storage solution. So your admin are using it. It's called DTR, but it's nothing that you need to use. So we'll ignore that section. And then to the right of that, you see my DocuSign ID. So in here, you can see I have my information and my photo and then my signature. I am going to click on this edit button in the top right corner so you can see how to change this information. Just make sure your account's set up properly. So when I click edit, the first thing it's going to ask me, if you don't have a photo right here, it'll give you an upload photo button right here. So right now it says edit. If I wanted to change this photo, I just click the button and upload the photo or delete this one. It will just allow me to browse my computer. So I can drag and drop a photo here, or I can click browse and it will take me to my desktop downloads, wherever all my file storage within my computer in order to download. If you have a portrait of yourself, your work portrait is on your computer, you can add it here. To the right of my photo, you'll see this says for Stacy Trebian. This is my name in this account. Yours will just say like Nikki Kershaw. If you need to edit that, you can by clicking here. And then the email address associated with your account is right here. And then below that, you have a couple other items. Your company, your job title, address and phone number. You can update these to be your company, your office address, and your phone number if you want to. But this is just where you can change some of the information in your account. One other thing I want to go to is at the bottom of the left-hand side where it says account, you see notifications. This is where you're going to control the emails that get sent to you as you're sending out documents for signatures. So the first section says, if I'm the sending notification. So when I am the sender, I want to be notified by all of these things. So just look through these. There's no right or wrong answer. You can decide if you want to get an email when these actions happen or if you don't. So like one of them, it says an envelope is complete. Do I want to get an email when an envelope is complete? I have that box marked, check marked, so I will get an email. On the bottom, you get to change the notifications or the emails that you receive when you are a recipient. So if someone's sending something to you, how do you want to be notified of those things? So you can go through and you can say, if there's an envelope for me to sign, yes, I want to be notified. So check that box. An envelope is complete. Yep, I do want to be notified. Again, no right or wrong answer here. These are just settings on the notifications and emails that you receive. All right. One other thing I want to show you, back up at the top underneath personal information, it says signatures. And actually, I'm going to, let me go back home for a second. So I'm going to click on the home button to go back where we started. Oh, I wanted to show you. Hang tight. Okay, this is what I was going to show you. Okay, hang on. So you can see right now I've signed a document in the past. So this is my DocuSign signature and my initials. If I want to edit it, I can edit it here, or I can click delete. And basically that's allowing me to select a different font, or if I want to add my middle initial, I can. The other option that you have is you will have this great blue option next to your full name and initials. Add the realtor logo to my signature. I suggest you guys all do this. It's going to differentiate your signature from your clients, showing that you are a realtor.
Hey, Stacy, real quick, when you go back out of this part, will you show us again where that editing link is up in the upper right-hand corner? My pane was in the way when you were getting into that, and I think other people's might have been in the way as well. Just go over that real quick when you're ready to.
So back on the home screen or right here under signatures?
On the home screen.
Sure. So I'm going to get right back to where I was. I'm going to go back to the home screen. And then if I scroll down where it says my DocuSign ID, I've got my picture and my name. To the right, in the top right corner, there's a little blue edit button. And if you do have the images of the people on the call on the right-hand side, you will, that's what you'll see me stalling a little bit sometimes because I'm moving that box around. You can drag it so that I can see what I'm trying to show you guys. So the edit button is in the top right corner, just to the right of where it says my DocuSign ID.
Thank you.
I'll click edit there, and then it takes me to the personal information under account on the left-hand side. And then I went down to signatures right underneath that. And then here's my current signature, and all the way to the right, here's my signature and my initials. Again, if that bar is in the way, right behind it or to the right of my initials, there's an edit and a delete button. So when I select edit, it allows me to change the name, select a different one, and click the add the realtor logo to my signature.
Okay. Leslie had a question about finding her NAR ID.
Sure. Nikki and I can actually send that to you after the class. The NRDS number is that the one that you're asking for, your NERDS number? That is your registration through the National Association of Realtors. One place you can find it is on your Realtor magazine. It's actually on the label, your send label. So if you have one of those lying around, it typically starts with 594, and it's a pretty decently long number. But Nikki and I have it in our database of all agents. So if you'll just send me or Nikki an email, or both of us, we can send that to you after the class.
Thanks, Stacy.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to X out of this box, and then I'm going to click on home again, because I want to go back to where I started. And then the most important big thing that we want to go over today is where it says sign or get signatures. Okay, we have a purchase agreement. We have typed it up wherever you've done it, or you've written it out in hand and scanned it to yourself, and it's living on your computer, in your documents, or on your desktop, or in your downloads, wherever you save documents. And then we want to get an e-signature on that document. How do we do it? We're going to click on that big yellow new button. And then right below it, you've got some options. Send an envelope is what you're going to use 99% of the time. Send an envelope means that I'm going to pull up a document. I'm going to select who my signers are going to be, and I'm going to send it to them for signatures. Sign a document, which is right underneath that. That's if you are sitting right there with that client and you want them to sign while you are sitting there with them. So it's kind of like a host, but 99% of the time you're going to use this send an envelope. So I'm going to walk you through that. That's the main feature when you hear people talk about e-signatures that they're referring to. So I clicked on the big yellow new button, and now I'm going to click send an envelope. What's fun about this is now I just have 3 steps. The first one, it says add documents to the envelope. So this is where I'm going to choose what I want to send to my clients for signature. It's going to allow me to click this upload button, which will then let me browse my computer for the document that I have saved. See how it pulls up my desktop or my downloads? I can switch within my documents, downloads, desktop, wherever I saved that document. So I'm going to find the one I saved. So here I have a purchase agreement that, let's pretend I have all filled out. I put a few things in there, but let's pretend it's totally filled out. And then I'm going to click open. You're going to watch DocuSign is pulling that PDF into the program. I'm going to disregard this pop-up. I always just close them out. But let's say you have multiple documents. So maybe I've got my purchase agreement here, but I also need to upload maybe your affiliated business arrangement or your agency disclosure. Every time you add a document, you're going to get a new box to the right of it that allows you to upload more documents. So I'm going to click upload again, browse my computer for the documents that I have ready to go. In this case, I just have a miscellaneous addendum ready. Click open, and you'll see it will load that document, and it gives me that box to upload another document to the right. So I could keep adding documents as I need them.
Okay, I've got a quick question here.
Yep.
It says, do you use this when you get a .loop document to upload into DocuSign? I've been uploading into zip forms and sending from there.
So that's kind of a personal preference thing. I would personally load everything into zip forms and send it out through zip forms because then you have a digital copy of that, anything relating to that transaction in your zip forms transaction file. Whereas if I go straight to DocuSign and send it out, it's not going to drop that signed copy back into my zip form file if I didn't pull it into zip forms first.
Got it.
So some people, depending on the process that they like to keep, they'll go straight to DocuSign and send it out for signatures, and then maybe they'll pull that signed one into zip forms later. A lot of people do what whoever that was just said. They'll pull that, you get a document from .loop or emailed from another agent, and they pull it into their zip forms account and then click the e-sign button to send it through for signatures. That's also acceptable. So it's whichever way makes sense to you. This is just showing independent of zip forms, how you can do that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep. So I've got my 2 documents. So that's my first step. Right below that, it says add recipients to the envelope. So this is where you're going to type your client's name and email address. Now remember, right here where it says name, however you type their name is how they're going to sign. So if they need to sign with a junior or with a middle initial, you need to put that in this section. So we're gonna do Nikki. So like in her case, I'd wanna make sure I put Nicole to do her full legal name. Now I'm not gonna do that this second. And then below that, we're gonna put her email address. Now you'll see to the right-hand side, it shows her as needing to sign. This is how I'd like her to stay because I need it to get to her for signatures. Now below that, it allows me to add recipients. So if you have multiple buyers, multiple sellers, you only get one box there until you click add recipient, and then we can add our next signer. So maybe I've got Ben Buyer. I'm gonna put my own email in there. And then Ben Buyer needs to sign as well. But let's say one other step that can be really helpful for you is maybe as soon as this is done, you want it to go straight to your admin without having to send it to them. I can add a recipient and put in, maybe it's 204 Dodge admin. And you probably have a group address that you could use for this. I'm just showing you how you could add it. But I don't need this admin to sign. So I'm going to select where it says needs to sign. And I'm just going to change this to receives a copy. When you add someone and click receives a copy, maybe you want it to go to the lender as soon as it's signed. They will get it when it's fully finished. You'll see it pop to the top here. And they will not be asked to sign anything on that document.
Quick question about power of attorney. If one of your signers is a power of attorney, do you need to put a POA behind their name?
Yeah, well, okay, so here's the thing. When it comes to like an estate or I'm sorry, a trustee or a power of attorney, you will often run out of fields in that name section. So a good option is to add a text box when we get in the next step that has the power of attorney information. I'll show you that on the next step, but good question. Anything else on the recipients? Okay, I'm gonna remove this one just because I don't want to actually send that to Linda. But one other thing I want to show you is at the top of these boxes, after add recipients to the envelope, you have the option to set a signing order. When you're using DocuSign independently like this, it doesn't automatically set a signing order, which means that if I put in Ben and Nikki, they're both going to get it at the same time. They can both sign it whenever it works for them, and I won't get it back until it has everybody's completed signatures on it. So even if they get it at the same time, it will still only come back completed. If you are using the same email address for both of your signers, you need to set a signing order. That will mean it will go to Ben first and then to Nikki once Ben has signed. That way, when they're using the same email address, they will see, "Dear Ben, please review and sign these documents." And then after he signs it, a new email will pop into that email inbox and it'll say, "Dear Nikki, please review and sign these documents." That way they can keep straight who is the one that's actually signing. Any questions on that signing order? No, I'm seeing shaking heads. Everybody's good?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
I'm self-taught on DocuSign.
Yeah.
You get so I'm not as orderly as you. And it seems that I go from the document and I don't see any of this. Is this setting it up an envelope for everything? Do you understand my question? If sometimes I'll go up and click on the bar sign if I'm looking at a document, and because these fields don't seem familiar to me, what you're doing.
Are you using DocuSign independent, or are you using DocuSign through Zip Forms?
Probably through Zip Forms, maybe.
Yeah,
that's
so if you're in Zip Forms, you're just clicking on the e-sign
yes.
button, and then it does give you a step-by-step guide. You actually do these same steps, but they just look a little bit different. So
that's what I'm saying. It just looks so different. I
Yep.
mean, I have to do all the same stuff.
Yep.
But so this is through where are we? What
We're
am I looking at?
DocuSign.com or DocuSign.net. DocuSign independently. This is if you were going to use the e-signature portion without the form production.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Any other questions, Nikki? I think old chat's popping up, but I want to make sure I didn't miss one.
Let me check. I think that we're good to move on.
Okay. So I'm going to go down the last step on this page. So I'm still on the same page. I clicked that send an envelope. I chose my documents. I chose my recipients right here. I added them and their names and their email addresses. And then if I keep scrolling down this page, I get to my last step, and that is my ability to add a message to all the recipients. So this is just like your email message. I can change this email subject line if I want to. There's an email message box right here where I can enter a custom message. Maybe it's, please see these documents, sign, and let me know if you have any questions. Maybe there's something specific you'd like to say to them. You'll see at the top, you've got this box where you can create a custom email for each person. So this top one would just go to Ben, and then it gives me a second box to do a custom message to just Nikki so that they have different verbiage. Maybe I need to say something specific to one or the other. But that's your ability to add a custom message. If you don't add a custom message to your client, it is still very explained what they're supposed to do. So they will still get an email from DocuSign that says, please review and sign these documents, with a button that says review and sign. So they'll click on that. And it doesn't look like it's missing something if you don't add a message. Okay. That is the last of the steps on this page. So we added documents, we added our signers, and we added a message. And now in the top right corner, if you don't have the people from the Zoom call in the way, there's a big yellow next button. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Great. So I'm going to click next. And this is where it's going to look different. Anytime I see these pop-ups, I just X them out. So this is where the difference comes when you are used to using Zip Forms and you're using DocuSign independently. Not only does that first screen look different, but what you'll notice is I've got my purchase agreement, and I have to manually apply all of the initials and signatures to this document. So in the top left corner, you'll see I have Ben Buyer, and if I click on the drop down, I can toggle back and forth between Ben and Nikki to add what I need. So I'm going to leave it on Ben, and then underneath that, here you can see I've got signatures, initials, and dates. So on this first page, I need both of their initials. So I'm going to leave it on Ben. I'm going to come down to initial. I'm going to single click on it. I'm not holding it down. It doesn't have to be held down and dragged. I just have to single click it, and you'll see it comes over. So if you can see my hand, I'm not actually dragging it. Clicking it grabs it, and then a second click drops it. See that? But now I need Nikki's initials to the right. So I'm going to, at the top where it says Ben Buyer, click on that drop down and switch from Ben to Nikki. And you'll see all of the options for the fields turn to blue. And here I'm going to select initial again with a single click. I'm not touching it. And I'm going to second click to drop it where I need Nikki's initials. Now, for those of you who are Zip Forms users, you know the benefit, but let me talk to you. The benefit of Zip Forms is if this document had originated in Zip Forms and I clicked e-sign and got it to this part of DocuSign, all of these initials would automatically already have been applied for me and I don't have to manually come in and do this. So I'm just gonna do some of these so you can watch what this process looks like. You guys can ask questions while I'm doing this if you have any, but I'm just toggling back and forth between Nikki and Ben to place their initials where I need them. I'm gonna leave it on Nikki and then go back to Ben. Scrolling, getting through 5 of 10 pages.
Hey, Stacy, I have a question.
Yep.
So, as I've been learning and getting better at this, there's some other things that should populate itself, you know, because a lot of this is redundancy, even on the DocuSign. I mean, I wish it was self-populate. There's some areas that it could self-populate and it does not.
When you're in DocuSign independent of Zip Forms?
Uh-huh.
So DocuSign doesn't have that intuitive feature to it. It doesn't have that part of this program. Only when you use Zip Forms into DocuSign will it do any auto-populating.
Can we tell IT or anybody to maybe check into that?
It's a DocuSign thing. It's not an IT thing. It's its own program, and it's set up to work this way intentionally. This is manual. So that's why if you want more auto-population, I suggest you start with your document in Zip Forms, fill it out, and click your e-sign button to get it to DocuSign, and it will then autofill.
Okie dokie.
Sorry. Okay, so now I'm to the point I need signatures here, correct?
Yes.
So instead of clicking on initial on that left-hand side, I clicked signature. I'm gonna keep going down. Oh, I need initials on all these pages. Just pretend like I am. This isn't gonna be an actual contract, so don't be mad if I miss an initial. You get the concept, right? Did I miss one up there? Yeah, I did.
And you can modify the text in here too. There's an ability to strike out text and add text boxes in case you have to change some of your verbiage in there.
Yes. So I will show text box. Hang on. I'm just trying to think while I'm doing this. It's tricky. Thinking and working.
You're doing great, Stacy.
Okay, so now I'm to that second document. Remember, I uploaded the purchase agreement, and now I also have my addendum that I had uploaded. So here I can come down and I can grab my signature for my buyer. And then in this case, I also need a date signed. So I can click date signed right there and then switch from Ben to Nikki and do the same thing. I need a signature from Ben and I need a date sign from Ben. And obviously I would have added myself as the agent, but I didn't do that. But what Nikki's talking about is I can, over here on the left-hand side, some other options that I have here are like text box. So let's say in this addendum, I needed to add some other terms. I can click text box and I can drop it here, and it looks tiny right here, but look at these buttons. So see the 4 corners? I can put my cursor right over the corner and I can click on it and drag it to enlarge this box. But then something that's kind of tricky that kind of stumps people is I want to click in this box to type in it, but that's not how you use it. On the right-hand side, you get a add text box right here. So the management of that field is always going to be on the right. So where it says add text, I'm going to click my cursor in here, and this is where I can add the terms of my addendum if I hadn't typed it before I put it into DocuSign. You guys see that? Okay. Now, something that I want to do for this text box is I like to make it read only so that it doesn't require any action on my buyer's part. Now, another thing, let's talk about, let's say there is a POA or there's a trustee of an estate. Let's go back up to where we have signatures. So for instance, right here, I needed Ben's signature, and Ben just happens to be the power of attorney, or Nikki is signing on Ben's behalf, whatever it may be. Next to the signature, you can add a text box. And again, I can expand this to make it bigger. I can make it go down, however you need to do it. And you can add your POA information. Again, going to that management box on the right-hand side where it says add text. And I can say POA for Nikki Kershaw, or obviously that's not correct, but maybe it's trustee of the Stacy and Benjamin Treben trust created in 2018. Whatever the verbiage is, this is how you can accomplish that if you run out of space in the signature field.
Stacy, I have a quick question. When you're adding the text box,
Yes.
Does it matter that it's a different color than like my blue signing color? Because that is the color for our Ben.
So I want to make sure that whoever the POA belongs to or the trust information matches the color of the signer. So if it needs to go with Ben's name, I'll click on Ben. If it needed to be next to Nikki's name, I'd click blue, and then I'd click the text box and put it next to hers.
Okay. Thanks for clarifying that.
Yep.
Is there a maximum number of signers you can have on a document?
Oh, I think you're going to be adding lines. I mean, it's just a matter of space.
Okay, so you just figure out, you squeeze it in there somewhere.
Yes. I know some people have had to add like more sheets that have space for more people to sign. It's a good question, but with this specific one, I'm just showing you if you had the two, how that works.
Got it. Basics. Got it.
Basics. Any other questions on this? On adding the fields? No? Anything pop up, Nikki?
I got a question. I've been trying to figure this out for a while, but on the top right side, you know, on the page 10, which
Yep.
you've got, why do they always have the little colors up on top? It doesn't, yeah, does it, I understand those are the colors of the signatures, but why were they there?
They're just to show you where you have some signatures applied.
Okay.
Now, one other thing I do want to walk through, I'm going to go down to the section that speaks about arbitration. Let's get down there. Tell me if I passed it. I didn't think I did yet. There it is, right here, paragraph 35. So let's say I want to put an initial box here for Ben and an initial box here for Nikki, but I don't want it to be required. I want them to get to read it and decide if they're going to initial it or not, okay? You can manage these and change them from required to optional by clicking on the initial box, and then underneath Nikki's name right here, do you see this required field with a checkbox? If I uncheck that box, it will make her initial box now just outlined and white in the middle, which means it's an optional box for her to initial. So if she wanted to skip over it and not initial that section, she has the ability to do that when you change these from required to optional by unchecking the required field box. Do you see that? If these were left as solid, they could not move on in the process. They could not click finish unless they initialed those boxes.
And is there anything that explains that, or do we need to explain that?
You need to explain that. The arbitration and mediation section,
Yes.
other than reading it. So most agents I know will have conversations with their clients ahead of time, and you'll know if you want to initial this or not. So you can set it up to be required or not even put them there. But if you want to give them the ability to read over this section and choose to initial it or not, then you could add these as optional, which is what I just showed you, where it is not solid. The required field button is unchecked so that they could choose to initial it or move past it.
And what about the checkbox?
Which part?
Just that goes along with it at 35. Section 35 is hereby waived.
Sure.
Oh.
So you could add a checkbox.
And that can be made optional also?
Yep. All checkboxes are optional.
Okay.
Good question.
But you have to make them optional, right?
Nope, those ones are optional by design. So they can do that or not. Someone say question?
Yeah, me. So because our faces is on the right-hand side, Stacy?
Yeah.
So the uncheck is on the right-hand side, correct?
You know that bar, you can move all our faces. If you grab that bar, you can drag it like to the bottom or the top so that you can see better what I'm doing.
Yeah, because I'm like, where's the uncheck? Oh, there we go.
So let me show you. So I'll go
Okay.
back to this initial. So that
Yeah.
required field
Yep.
is right there.
Okay. And
Let's-
then where's the uncheck?
So I checked or unchecked it.
Got it.
Solid
That's a
required.
required field.
Optional is unchecked.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. So one other thing I'm going to show you is, let's say you have some on here. Let's say you talk to them and you want to remove these totally. They don't need the option. They're not going to initial it. It doesn't need to be required or optional. Every single one of these fields that we've added, if you click on them, you get that management bar on the right-hand side. And at the bottom, you always have a delete button. So I can delete that box by clicking on the box, going to the bottom of this management field, and clicking the delete button. Do you guys see that delete button?
Yes.
Yeah, I think Rosemary had a question. I must have misunderstood it. So Rosemary, if you could unmute yourself and ask Stacy the questions that you and I had been discussing through the chat. Maybe.
No?
Yeah. Right. Keep on keeping on. If she chats me up, I'll see if we can get to her.
Okay. Any other questions? Nothing? I thought I saw something else. I'll make sure someone didn't ask it to me.
I have a question, but not exactly regarding this. I don't know, maybe I should save it for the end.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's save it for the end.
Okay.
Okay, so let's say we have this document ready to go. And, oop, I did not mean to add a company there. I am going to go ahead and click the send button in the top right corner. Do you guys see the big yellow send? Okay, I'm going to click send. Nikki, you cool with me sending that to you?
Absolutely.
Okay. We're going to send it. I believe it's going to go to Ben first, which is me. Let me see if I can switch to my email. Can you guys see my email right here?
Mhm.
You guys hear a yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so here it says, Stacy sent you a document to review and sign. Review documents. So I clicked on it as Ben Buyer. It's going to take me into DocuSign. I'm showing you what it looks like from the client's perspective. So I am acting as Ben right now. The first thing it asks me is to please read the electronic record and signature disclosure and click agree to use electronic records and signatures. So I'm going to click agree and then continue. And then it's going to allow me just to scroll through, and here you'll see, I don't see Nikki's blue tiles. I just see mine. So I'm going to click on that as Ben. And then it's going to allow me to adopt a signature and an initial. So here I have a signature, initials, and if I want to change the font, I can by clicking change style. I click change style, I can choose this. Now, if they're on a tablet or a phone, they can draw it with their finger. And then I'm going to click adopt and initial as the client. So Ben is clicking adopt and initial, and it's going to just zoom him down the page to where the initials are required, but they can always scroll through them. They can go back up and scroll through if they want to read the document.
Yeah, Stacy, it's still just showing your email right now.
I was going to say.
Oh no. Hang on.
I only see the email.
There it is.
There it is. Okay. Wonder if I can take you back to, I can't take you back, but basically when I click the first initial box, it asked me if I wanted to change the font. And I said no. That's what I was showing you.
Okay.
And then it's gonna
Signature? Is that what you're talking about, the font?
yes, of the client signature. They can either choose the one that pops up, or that gives them other options of signatures and initial fonts. Or if they're on a phone or a tablet, they can draw it with their finger. So now I'm on the next one, and when I click here, you'll see it's going to just pop me right down to the next one that I need to do. But again, they can scroll back up and read. They can read every page that they want to.
Question about the arbitration 35, paragraph 35.
Yes, sir.
If you don't have anything there, it just skips over it?
Yep, which I deleted it before I sent it. So let me go back to it for you and show you it did nothing because I skipped right past it.
Right. So in other words, it's not really an option for them to sign it at this point.
Right. If you didn't put it in as required or optional, then it's not showing up there at all.
Okay.
All right, so I am done now. It's going to allow me to click finish. If I had missed one, it wouldn't give me the finish option. Okay, I'm done. Okay, I'm going to change my share again back to my email. So remind me if I don't switch with it. Okay, so then you'll see in my email as the agent, this is kind of tricky, so I use the same email address as mine, but as the agent, I get a notification that Ben Buyer viewed my document. So as the agent, I'm watching the whole process, and that is if you have your notifications set up to receive those. So Nikki, you should have received the next email since Ben finished.
Mm-hmm. I think I just heard it come in.
Awesome. If you do a quick sign for me.
I'm happy to.
So Nikki is acting as my second buyer, and she is signing that document on there. And you'll see I went to, after I clicked send in DocuSign, can you guys see my sent box in DocuSign now? I'm back in DocuSign. It automatically took me to this screen after I clicked send. So you can see this top one is the one that I'm waiting for Nikki to sign. Do you see this waiting for others? As the agent, I just got a notification that Nikki viewed it, which means she's in process. It's just really nice to know, like, hey, have they even looked at that? Are they going to sign it? You know, waiting for the different parties so that you know where it's at in the process. We're going to give Nikki a minute here.
All right. I'm all done.
Awesome. So then, as the agent, I'm going to click back to my email. Okay, so here you can see Nikki viewed. Can you guys see my email again?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Nikki viewed that document, so I know that she did that. And then do you see these two emails that just populated? Okay, the top one says completed. Your document has been completed. This is the one to Ben. So anyone who was a signer will get the copy of the signed documents. And then as the agent, I also get the signed documents. You will see I have the option to click on the button in the email, which will take me to the documents, but they're always attached to the email. So I can just download these documents straight from the email if I don't want to go back into DocuSign to get them. So you can see if I open this one up, It's going to be initialed and signed by both Ben and Nikki. Nikki was fancy and did it on her phone. Looks like she did her own there.
We're not seeing anything.
We're not saying anything.
Oh, guys, you got to remind me. I have to keep going to which screen to share. All right, do you see this?
Yep.
I'm scrolling. Okay, so I'm just showing you, I just pulled up the purchase agreement that was emailed to me. And here you can see that Ben used the stock font to be his signatures, and Nikki did hers on her phone or a tablet, so she was able to use her finger. So she did that really fancy one, like when we sign our credit cards at the store, it looked exactly like our signatures.
Exactly.
Right? So there you can see. Nice signature, Nikki.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well done. But I can see now it is complete. And I just opened the purchase agreement. I didn't open the addendum. When you send them to the client through DocuSign for the signatures, they will all be in one. But when they come back to you, they will be split out into the different documents that you sent individually. Let me go back to my email so you can see how they broke them out. So here's my signed purchase agreement. Here's that miscellaneous addendum. And then the last one you see is called summary. This is the certificate of completion. It has date stamps. You need to turn this in with your file. Your admin will be asking for this. It's basically certifies the IP address of the computer and the timing of the signatures. If there's ever discrepancy on when things were signed and where, and if they didn't, any sort of competition on if the signatures are capable of being a part of that purchase. Any questions on how it comes back to you? No? Okay, I'm gonna go back to DocuSign and just talk through a few more things. Are you guys back on my home screen of DocuSign?
Yes.
Okay, so this is where I land whenever I log into DocuSign. What I did was I clicked on the new button and send an envelope to walk through the process of sending those documents out for signature. But at the top next to home, I want you to click on manage if you're clicking or if you just want to watch. This is where you can see what has gone out from your account in the past. So it took me to my sent box. So here are all the things that I've sent out for signatures. You can see if they're waiting for others or if they're completed. I've got an inbox. I have nothing in my inbox right now. That's maybe if someone sent me something for signatures and I didn't access it from my email, I could access it here. But then also these quick views are really nice. So if there's action required or if I'm waiting for others, I can go to these different sections to really see where is that in the process. Like it shows still waiting for others here. I just need to update. I need to refresh this page and it'll show that it's completed. All my completed files. So if you need to come back to a completed file, for instance, here's the one that we just completed at the top. If I click on that, it's going to take me to this screen where I can see the documents. If your people's faces are on the right underneath it, you can see the 10 pages of the purchase agreement and the addendum at the bottom. I always have to the left of that a download button and a print option if I want to pull those out of DocuSign. Maybe down the road I need to come back and grab them. I can always grab them by clicking download or print straight from here. All I did was go to manage and to my completed folder, and I clicked on the file, the documents that I was looking for, and then there's a print and download. Do you guys have any questions on that? Finding past files, where they come. Remember, they will always be emailed to you unless you change that notification. They'll always come back to you in your email, so you'll always have them there as well when you use DocuSign. No? This is end open up for questions. Those are the basics of DocuSign, sending out a document. This class has been recorded, so you can always come back to it. Nikki and I are always happy to do one-on-ones with you and walk you through it, or if you have questions, phone calls, emails, text. Jody, what was your outside of the box question?
Okay, so when I'm in zip forms and every time I open it, I always have to add the Nebraska purchasing contract, the affiliated business. Why do I have to always continuously add that? And also when I open it, it has an Iowa purchasing contract.
Okay,
It is really annoying.
Sounds like we need to look at your account and that's
Yes, please.
something specific that we do together.
Told you so, told you so.
Anybody else have questions?
Okay,
No?
I do.
Okay, Lynn.
Yes. I went into the participants and it says there are 12. Well, right behind my name, in parentheses, it says me, and I don't know why that's there. For Nikki, it says host. For Stacy, it says co-host. I don't know why me is after my name.
So that's just in Zoom. That's not in DocuSign. That's just in Zoom showing you who's on the call, and it's showing you which one is you is all. You're the only one that can see that. Everyone else sees, like Jody next to her name, it says me. Dwan.
Oh, okay.
Me. Yep, that's
Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome. Anybody else? Okay, don't hesitate to reach out. Again, this is recorded. I'll send out the link to the recorded class if you want to refer back to it after the fact, but otherwise that is the end. So thank you all for coming. Nikki, you have anything to add?